From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Keith Allen, and proudly welcoming you into this Wednesday's edition of For the People on November the 8th, 2017. I am back in my cycling mode, 16 and a half miles this morning. You got to be impressed. Are you impressed? Yeah, I mean, I had to work up to that. Yeah, I didn't just instantly do 16 and a half miles. I've been doing it for several years, but when the hurricane came, we started, exercising, jogging and walking fast and all that kind of stuff, but got out of the routine of doing it every other day. And so I still run, I jog, and I cycle, but the full force 16 and a half miles, feeling like it just cranks up your metabolism, man, makes you feel good. And I'm good and revved for Wednesday's show, I got to tell you. But exercise does that. It just kind of gets things going, gets the juices flowing. It's a beautiful thing, I got to tell you. The Texas church massacre is providing a familiar frustration for law enforcement FBI agents. They're unable to unlock the idiot's encrypted phone. They're looking for evidence that may possibly shed some light as to why this idiot just opened fire, went into the church, and did what he did. I still kind of numb as to what happened there at the church. It's still devastating in the wrenching details of the rampage that left so many dead. But Congress has not shown a strong appetite for legislation that would force technology companies still to help the government break into encrypted phones and computers. And the fiery public debate surrounding the FBI's legit fight with Apple Incorporated has largely really faded since federal authorities announced they were able to access a locked phone in a terror case without the help of the technology giant. Our candidate, as a candidate, before he became president, Donald Trump called on Americans to boycott Apple unless it helped the FBI hack into the phone, but he hasn't been as vocal as president on this very issue. So it'll be interesting to see if there is any more discussion about that. Me personally, I don't like an invasion of privacy, but I'm just kind of thinking here. So you see what this guy did. You see that and I don't even know if it's an Apple phone, by the way. Just know it's encrypted. Most phones are encrypted, but just say it is an Apple phone. Why couldn't the FBI say, look, we're going to drop the phone off. Why don't you unlock the phone and whatever photographs, emails, or whatever, because this is going to help solve the case. Hopefully it'll give us some more insight into this killer that hurt so many people. Could you just give us that information itself? We don't know. We don't need to know how you did it, how you unlocked it, whatever it was, but just give us the information that we need. That's it. But they're not going to even do that. Companies are not, because it's an invasion of your privacy. And I'm thinking, geez, there's got to be something to help. I mean, I guess I'm a loss for, and I understand privacy, but damn, the frustration of the FBI, it's stymied these investigations. And folks, this goes beyond, the shootings were bad enough, but from sex crimes against children, drug cases, human trafficking, Even if they obtain a warrant for the information, agents have been unable to retrieve data from half the mobile phones for more than 6,900 phones, computers, and tablets that they tried to access in less than a year, folks. In less than a year. The FBI Director Christopher Wray said last month, wading into an issue that also vexed his predecessor, James Comey. Remember, James Comey spoke before Congress and elsewhere about the Bureau's inability to access digital devices, but the Obama House never publicly supported legislation that would have forced technology companies to give the FBI a backdoor to encrypted information, leaving Comey's hands tied to propose a specific legislative fix. Security experts generally believe that such encryption backdoors are a terrible idea that could expose, and this is their thought process, the vast amount of private business and government data to hackers and spies if they allow to do this. That's because those backdoor keys would work for bad guys as well as good guys. The bad guys would almost immediately target them for theft and might even be able to recreate them from scratch. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein took aim at Silicon Valley's methods of protecting privacy during a speech last month, saying Trump's Justice Department would be more aggressive in seeking information from technology companies. And then he took a harder line from his predecessors, but stopped short of saying what specific steps the administration might take. We wait for a mass disaster to sharpen the discussion about this when we should have been talking about it since San Bernardino, he said. This is David Hinkton, who I'm talking about, a former U.S. attorney who now directs a Cyber Law Institute at the University of Pittsburgh. So interesting enough, you have the San Bernardino deal, and even so, the facts of the church shooting may not make it the most powerful case against warrant-proof encryption. Well, the FBI took Apple to court in February of 2016 to force it to unlock the San Bernardino shooter's phone. Investigators believe the device had clues and held clues about whom the couple communicated with and where they may have traveled, but Combs didn't say what investigators hoped to retrieve from Kaylee's phone. And investigators already have ample information about his motive. Authorities in Texas say the church shooting was motivated by the gunman's family troubles rather than terrorism, and investigators have not said whether they are seeking possible co-conspirators. In California case, the FBI ultimately broke into the phone by paying an unidentified vendor for hacking into that phone. So former federal prosecutor Joseph DeMarco, who filled a friend of the court a brief on behalf of the groups that support the Justice Department against Apple, said that he was hopeful and the case would spur fresh discussions. If not by itself, he said, the shooting could be one of the several cases that prompt the Justice Department to take other technology companies to court. Eventually, the court will rule on this, or a legislative fix will be imposed, he said. So we'll be sure to tell you about it if there's any breaking news, and I'm sure something, like he just said, should be done, should be discussed. This should be, because there's thousands of cases, more information that could convict somebody with so many more charges, or make it easier to convict people of their crimes, of being able to get in. And there has to be some type of fix, but you're always going to get people with greed. So internally, people get fired from Apple, they get fired from Microsoft, and they know the little backdoor deal, and then for the right money, they sell out, and before long, it's not a secret of how they do it, and then it falls into the hands of bad guys. So that's pretty much the reason why they are not doing this. So is there anybody in that company that they can trust? Anybody. Long-time person They could give the ingredients to, hey, you've been with the company for 30 years. We pay you damn well, and he's happy. He's, everybody just knows that this person's not a thief in him, and it doesn't matter how much money is presented. That kind of people of integrity. Isn't there anybody that they can trust in that company? Anybody. Out of all those employees, I'm thinking give them the ingredients. That's just me thinking out loud. Unfortunately, there's just a lot of people that can be bought. And I guess that's what's the deal. That's what's holding them back from doing it, because they believe that somebody can be shaken down. I mean, how much? I mean, if somebody offers you $1 million, you can give them the code. Maybe they give you $20 million. Would you give them the code? Some people would do it immediately, not think twice about it. So that's their thinking on this, but there's going to have to be a fix. I don't know what's going to look like, but to me, if you get a company on board and very few people know about how to do this in the company, and there's a protocol, there's a separate division or some sort like that where, again, they hand the phone over, they get the phone back, they don't know how they got it, they just got it, and there you go, bada bing, bada boom. That's put me in charge of it. That's what I would do. Super secretive. I mean, is this just not common sense? Something to that extent. The first responders, and I got to tell you, if you know anybody that does this, that goes in with the ambulance, when you get that 911 call to go pick up a dead body or somebody that's sick, somebody that's been shot, well, they've been talking about how stunned they were when they found out what was inside of the First Baptist Church. And the Houston Chronicle noted this. Devin Patrick Kelly left behind a bloodbath, that's the way they put it, when he opened fire on the church's morning congregation, killing 26 people, wounded about 20 others before fleeing the scene. So the volunteers from the La Verna Emergency Medical Services were not prepared for what they were laying wait for them inside the church that morning. That guy shot kids. The emergency medical worker Paul Brenner told the Houston Chronicle it wasn't just like, I shoot you. He shot kids to the point of mutilation. Describing the scene, Brenner said babies had been shot at least 2 or 3 times, adding that more than 400 rounds had been emptied into the church. It was a harrowing experience for the volunteer EMS team who donate their time to serve the unit for free. However, as they entered the church, the training kicked in. You get in there and you do what you got to do, said Jamie Shaw, who was in the first truck that arrived at the scene, according to the Chronicle, the Houston Chronicle, that is. For Wilson County Emergency Medical Technician Tori McCollum, the experience was traumatic. Speaking to KSAT, she described how she was on her way to the scene when she discovered it was at the church that her family member attended. I turned on my e-dispatch on my phone to listen to the page and realized it was the church in Sutherland Springs, and my heart immediately sank, Tori McCollum said. Can you imagine, folks? Can you imagine? Tori McCollum's sister-in-law, Crystal Holmcom, her nieces Emily, Megan, and Evelyn, and her nephew, Greg Hill, were all inside the church, along with Holcomb's husband, John Holcomb, his parents Brian and Carla Holmcom, his brother, Mark Holcomb, and 1-year-old niece, Noah. And among them, only John Holcomb and 6-year-old Evelyn survived the incident. So this is the reports from the early responders who had to go in and see the fatal shots of all those people and all that carnage and all those bullets, and babies shot 2-3 times. Kids, you just heard, were shot to mutilation. Sprayed all those bullets. into a peaceful congregation